How you doing? Good, mister. Okay. How you doing? I'm doing fine. How are you? That's great.
Good evening, everybody. And welcome to the National Press Club for this very special event. I'm Eleanor Herman, and I'm a member of the club's Book and Author Committee. We're very glad you've come to this event, and we hope that you enjoy it. The club has about 15 or 20 of these book wraps every year on a variety of books, both fiction and nonfiction. So if you are not already on our email list and would like to learn of future events, please see me after the event, and I will put you on our email list. We don't overload you with emails. It's usually about one a month that you'll get. So speaking of future events, before we get to our guest, I want to just tell you of some coming up in July, all of which begin at 6:30 p.m. unless otherwise noted. On Tuesday, July 8th, Todd Purdom will discuss his new book, An Idea Whose Time Has Come, Two Presidents, Two Parties, and the Battle for the Civil Rights Act of 1964. On Wednesday, July 9th, Brad Thor will discuss his novel, Act of War. On Tuesday, July 15th, Tom Young will present his latest military thriller, Sand and Fire. And on Tuesday, July 22nd at 6 p.m., Anish Chopra will discuss his book, Innovative State, How New Technologies Can Transform Government. So this would probably be a good time for you to silence your cell phones, please. The order of events for this press wrap is as follows. I'm going to introduce our guest, and then I'm going to have a conversation with him. And after that, you can ask him questions. Just raise your hand, and one of our committee members will come around with a mic for you. And when we've run out of time for questions, because I imagine there'll be quite a few, he will be signing your books. And I've also been told by the management that once you're done with that, we're having jazz night in the bar upstairs with a live band, so you might want to go up and check that out. Marion Barry Jr. was born in 1936 in a tiny town in Mississippi and picked cotton as a child in the segregated South. When Marion was 8, his mother left his father, whom he never saw again, and moved to Memphis. He was inducted into the National Honor Society in high school, received a degree in chemistry from Lemoyne-Owen College in Memphis, and his master's degree in chemistry from Fisk University in Nashville in 1960. He completed all courses required for a doctoral degree at the University of Kansas, where he studied quantitative and qualitative organic compounds. That's a surprise, isn't it? He was co-founder of the civil rights group, the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, which was active in voter registration and desegregation in the Deep South in a time when it was a very dangerous thing to do. In 1964, the organization sent him to D.C., where he won a seat on the school board in 1971 and became a council member in 1974. He served as the second elected mayor of the District of Columbia from 1979 to 1991, and again as the fourth mayor from 1995 to 1999. And he has been a member of the D.C. Council representing Ward 8 since 2005. Now, despite a life of many accomplishments, and we've just heard of a few of them, Mr. Barry is known mostly for a few minutes on a videotape in the Vista Hotel in 1990. And while we will get to that later, I would like to use this time tonight to explore the other aspects of your life that I didn't know about until I read your book. And I'm sure that many people here tonight would also like to know. For instance, one thing that really surprised me was you were one of the first Black Eagle Scouts in Memphis. And as the mother of 2 Eagle Scouts, I'd like to ask you, I bet you've never gotten this question before, Mr. Mayor. What was your favorite merit badge, and what did you learn from scouting?
Good evening. Good evening. Let me just get that out of the way. I think it was life-saving and swimming.
Life-saving and swimming.
And camping.
You like that,
and
too?
And bird watching.
Yeah. Was that girl watching or bird watching?
Bird watching.
Bird watching.
Bird watching. They didn't have a merit badge in girl watching.
Oh, I think they do now, and my son got it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So did you feel that you learned some things from the Boy Scouts that helped you propel you through university and into your life?
I learned quite a bit. One, I learned leadership skills.
Uh-huh.
I learned tenacity and resilience and courage and all those kinds of things, as well as getting along with other people from different backgrounds. I went to the Jamboree in New Mexico and all those kind of things. So it helped shape my life a lot, quite frankly. But the person who was most important in my life was my mother. My mother finished the 3rd or 4th grade. My father, 3rd or 4th grade. And they were sharecroppers. That's where you work all year, chopping cotton. Y'all know anything about chopping cotton, but picking cotton. We had a garden, etc. When it's all said and done, you end up with about $3,000 or $4,000 in cash for all that work, all that year, because the man had a store. He sold the seeds to my family at a price higher than he paid for them, and bought the cotton back at a price lower than he's going to get for it. And I think it's important that in America you find that there were very few opportunities at that time for a black boy born in Mississippi, poor, living in a house without any running water, without any electricity, use kerosene lamps, and without any other amenities that we now have. But back to my mother. My mother was a domestic. I mean, cleaning up some white woman's family kitchen, bathroom, taking care of their kids and all that kind of stuff. My mother told me, I didn't understand it quite at the time she was telling me this. She said, when she went to interview for a job, they got through all of the duties and responsibilities, and she would tell that white woman, who usually was the one hiring, I'm not going to go through the back door. If I'm good enough to take care of your snotty-nosed kids and clean your house and cook your food, I'm good enough to go to the front door. And she lost a lot of jobs that way. And she also said, because back in those days, and even now, domestics were called by their first name. They didn't have a last name. And she said, my name is not Mattie, it's Miss Cummins. She lost a lot of jobs for that. And I think that kind of tenacity and courage rubbed off on me somewhere or another, because I remember as clearly as I'm sitting here, when she would tell me that story, I didn't understand it then. I was too young to probably understand it. But that was the defining moment in my life with my mother.
Well, speaking of your mother,
she lived to 92 years of age.
Yeah.
She passed about 6 or 7 years ago.
Yeah.
Come on, you can clap. 92. 92. 92. It's a long time. 92.
So, speaking of your mother, when you were a young man, you were very busy. In addition to school and being in the Honor Society, you had a lot of odd jobs. You were collecting merit badges. But even so, you were a little bit of a rabble-rouser, even in your youth. You write that you like to drink white water from white water fountains. But what did your mother have to say about doing that?
She slapped the hell out of me. That was a custom in the South. She said, boy, don't you know better than that? Bam! Because she had been conditioned to live like that.
Well, I thought that was an interesting point in your book, that back then, the older people in segregation were used to living like that. And it was the young ones, 14, 15, saying, are you people crazy? Why are you living like this?
That's true. Let me do this. Let me back up a little bit and put this book in context. A lot has been written about Marion Barry. A lot of photographs have been taken. But those interviews and those stories was about the what of my life, not the who of my life. Not the who of my life. It's about me being 4-term mayor, which is the what. Well, I haven't done this, what? The Vista, what? I decided that